everyone, and welcome back to Proline. I'm Dave Cokin, joined by Jim Feist. We're going to break down some baseball wagering strategies. But first, I'm going to talk about an absolutely dynamite special, and it's from both Jim and myself. You can pick one or both of us, and I think you'll score pretty well here. You can play baseball through the All-Star break for myself or Jim for $199. That's plays every day. It's going to be all my value plays through the All-Star break. I'm also going to include a bonus late play if I have something. The first big late play that I have, that's going to be included. Jim's going to include a high roller, which is a $500 value on the day you sign up. That's some really strong stuff. And again, it's just $199 complete through the All-Star break. Phone number to call, 1-866, that's toll free, 1-866-546-9467. Jim, it's a terrific offer. And
it is.
There's money to be made in baseball. It's not the most popular betting sport. Obviously, it pales in comparison to the NFL and even the NBA and college basketball. But bookmakers, if they had their choice, they'd just close down during the baseball season. Their hold isn't very good, and there are more sharp bettors percentage-wise out there in baseball than there are in the other sports. It's as simple as that.
It's true. I mean, it's not that popular. Maybe it's about 15% of the marketplace that bets football, bet baseball. So it's really not that great a sport to be marketing into because you're only dealing with 15% of the betting marketplace, which is not a very profitable thing to be spending ads on. However, from a bettor standpoint, and I've proven this to myself and more so now, there's so many different ways to bet baseball. Let's look at the game. You get a team that's, let's say the Cubs. They're 260, 270, 290 in every game because they just don't lose. So how can you bet on a Cubs game and not have to lay almost 3-1, which nobody likes to do? And that, by the way, Dave, is the reason baseball betting has not been that popular because people, their bankrolls disappear. You lay 3,000 or 300 on a team and you only win 100 back. If you lose 1 out of 3, you're not ahead.
No, and it takes a lot of guts and fortitude to take the other side. People just don't like to take those.
Well, that's right, because the fans like to bet favorites.
Right.
They always like to bet. In football, you're laying 1-10. In baseball, you're laying 2-3-1. But they have first 5 innings. They have run lines. They have bets where you can bet on one team over and under.
Yes.
For example, if you think this is going to be a high-scoring game and you think this team has more power than the other, and you're laying 4.5 on a 9, say it's a 9 total for the whole game, but it's only 4.5 for this team, even if you're laying 120, 130, that actually might be a better bet than laying 260, 270 on a team. So there's so many ways to bet a baseball game and get involved in baseball. You really should look at it. That's what Dave and I do. This is why we win, and most of you guys out there don't.
Yeah, I got ahead of the curve with baseball when I discovered a site called Fangraphs, which does a lot of sabermetric stuff. And it started to give me a truer read than the old school stats that are out there like ERA and things, wins and losses, that don't really give you a true read on how a pitcher or a player is performing. And then along came daily fantasy sports. Now, you can have all your arguments as to, some of these people say it's not gambling. Yes, it is, obviously. It absolutely is gambling.
Only a politician could say it's not gambling, right?
Just amazing. Yeah, and the politician in this case is Major League Baseball, or if you want to expand it to the NFL, because they have a relationship with the daily fantasy sites, that's not gambling. Yes, it is. Okay, but like any gambling endeavor, there's a small percentage who, for them, it's not gambling because they do have an edge. I started following the daily fantasy sports, and I garnered some good information out of that. Even though I was just doing the daily fantasy sports for fun. I was strictly small potatoes, playing $5, $10, $20 contests, and that's it, because I'm still primarily involved in the handicapping. But the path that I started to discover was, wait a minute. The whole idea of daily fantasy sports is to get a true evaluation of each player's value on a daily basis. You can start combining that stuff in model baseball games and come up with better numbers than using some of the old school handicapping philosophies. And I've been doing a lot of it this year. Look, any sports wagering enterprise, is changing with the times. If you look, and I'll use football as an example here. How many angles have we heard people talk about over the years? This angle's really good, that angle's really good. Well, it's all back fit stuff. and eventually it just returns to normalcy and becomes 50-50 or starts swinging the other way. The whole idea is to stay one step ahead. And for me, the baseball modeling has been my one step ahead this year. I'm doing a lot of work with that. I haven't perfected it yet, but I'm happy with the results. And this is, to me, one of the philosophies that every handicapper has to use, is not to just keep staying with what worked in the past, because it won't necessarily continue. You have to change and try and improve.
That's been an advantage for us bettors, because the bookmakers, not necessarily the bookmakers, but the odds makers have been very slow to change. I can remember years ago when you change a power rating, you start a team off, say, as an 85, and they're just playing almost like a 65. And the odds makers will go down a little bit, down a little bit. But if you jump on that early, you might get 5-6 bets, where the odds makers are stuck in a decade, so to speak. Paradigm shifts in all walks of life is a different way of looking at something than you did before, or taking a way of looking at it, something else, and applying it to this genre. Well, that's what sabermetrics have done. Mm-hmm. So with computers, you can do this. Years ago, when computers were slower or didn't exist, you couldn't do this. You couldn't pull the stats together that fast. But now they're there. And Dave is doing a good job using them. I use them a little bit, but I have a couple other things that I do as well. We're both winning. You want to win. You want to listen to what we're doing, because we got some good stuff to talk about.
Yep, and it's an ongoing process, and I think I'm looking forward to the NFL, because I'm going to start to apply some of those same philosophies in the National Football League as they have in Major League Baseball. Completely different sports, but that doesn't mean you can't still arrive at a same or a similar result and do well. And to be honest, my NFL wasn't where I wanted it to be last year. The college football was fine, but I want to find some ways to get better in the NFL, and I think that could be one of the ways to experiment with.
I agree, and if you keep digging, eventually you're going to come up with something that's valuable. All right. You just got to keep digging.
Speaking of value, if you want to get free plays each day on a recorded message from our Vegas experts, here's the number to call: 1-888-478-9222. That's 1-888-478-9222. Also, if you want to ask the ProLine panel, which right now is Jim and myself, we might be adding to that. If you want to ask any questions, just go to prolinetv.com and ask away.
Absolutely. Put a note in there. Dave or I or somebody else in the office will answer those questions for you. Also, prolinetv.com. Click on the subscribe button. Do it now. You're not doing anything. Get away from your cup of coffee. You've had 4 cups. Go do it right now. Click on the subscribe button, and you're going to get notifications on new videos. Plus, there's lots of other things on the site for you to enjoy, and it's all free. And we're going to send you a code so you can get 7 days of my service for free, absolutely free. That's prolinetv.com.
And if you want free plays sent to your cell phone each day, it doesn't get much easier than this. Just text GAME to 25827. That's GAME to 25827. And make sure to go to jimfeist.com for free stats, articles, videos, podcasts, and plays, and Jim's Fast Facts, which are just awesome when basketball season rolls around. All from the nation's top handicappers. We'll see you next week with another edition of ProLine.